Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, it's kind of a review, this video, we are going to decide who has the best import Spider-Man figure. Now these are all different versions of Spider-Man, so it's not the absolutely most helpful comparison, but these are the ones we have to choose from. So for those of you out there who maybe don't have a Spider-Man yet, or you're just trying to get the one that suits your needs, this video should help you decide which to get. I'll make one note right off the bat. I'm not including any of the third-party / knockoff figures that are basically Revoltechs in various Spider-Man outfits. Those are only like $40. So yeah, if you want to get one of those, obviously just go get one of those. This is about if you're trying to actually collect the officially licensed figures. The $40 ones don't compete with these because they're only $40, and obviously that's a good price, but they're the knockoff Revoltechs, so that's a whole separate thing. These are the real officially licensed ones. We have the SH Figure Arts Gamerverse Spider-Man, we have the Mafex one, which has come in a variety of different colors and repaints and things, and then we have the Revoltech Spider Armor. It's the 2.0 Spider-Man, and we're going to see which one is the all-around best, if we can, and maybe they all just win at different things. I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, now before we get into the nitty-gritty, we're going to treat this like a normal review. I'll talk about them generally a little bit, and then we'll go through the different categories. I will note that this guy is brand new, so he's in stock at Big Bad Toy Store. This guy gets reissued on a regular basis from Mafex, and this guy is not available right now, though they have been doing a lot of reissues as well. So if you're trying to track down either Mafex or Revoltech, you're going to have to hit a reissue at some point. This guy comes in a variety of different colors now, repaints with the cell shading, all kinds of different things. This is just the standard one, although those change from time to time too when they do reissues. Like sometimes they're more metallic or not this one, but the other one. So there's a bunch of different versions of this guy, but it's all the same core figure, just with different colors, essentially. So you can decide for yourself what you want about that. But otherwise, these are your options, okay? Price point, they're all overpriced. They're all overpriced for what they are, so I'm not even going to worry about price point. They all have their own issues. They all have too high a price point, but you know, they have their benefits as well. So let's do a quick question of the day. Which brand do you like the most? It's not a fair question, I know, because they're all so strange and different, and if you're like me, you don't really have a favorite brand. You have favorite figures from each brand, but let me know where you guys stand, just in general. Are you Mafex people? Because I want to know, like, which ones you prefer, and if you are, like, let's say some people only like Mafex figures, and so they prefer this one. Or do they just prefer this one, even though they tend to prefer Revoltech or Figure Arts, that kind of thing. Alright, so let's talk about these guys. First of all, we'll just jump into the aesthetic. Let's talk about the Revoltech. It's not going to win in the aesthetic category, that's for sure. Well, it looks like something that came out of an acid trip. Really, it does not have a standard human physique at all. Obviously, it has its benefits, and we'll talk about those in the articulation section. But, yeah, he just looks nothing like an actual human at all. It does have a nice metallic paint job. It looks good for the spider armor look that they're going for sure. For what it is, it looks good. But, you know, in a general comparison with other figures that don't look like a Revoltech, nope, a Revoltech is not going to win. So if you are about Revoltech stuff, then you might like it, but we're going to just discount that right away. Now, the other two are much more in line with like a traditional looking Spider-Man. I would say the Mafex one, it's a little bit slender, like most Mafex figures are. Plenty of argument to be made for a slender Spider-Man figure. I know a lot of people do make that argument and prefer the Mafex Spider-Man look over all challengers. That's obviously your prerogative. This is about preference. For the most part, I will talk about some objective issues I have with Mafex. One would be the head size. It's pretty big for a comic book character, and it also has a little bit of like an anime shape, a really bulbous top of the head. It's very bulbous, and then you have the little nose chin area, and then the lip underneath that for it looks like it would be for the mask, but obviously it's not supposed to really be there. I think his head shape it could be a deal breaker for some people, especially from the side. From the front, it's nowhere near as noticeable. It almost looks like a different figure from the front. This looks like a young child in anime with a giant melon. So that's a thing to consider. Obviously, he's very slender across his chest and just about everywhere. And his ankles are really unattractive looking ankles, the way they're big and bulbous and have the flaps and things. There's definitely some stuff about this figure that's not the best. I've seen a lot of people alter the diaper area to make it look better. He's not the best looking figure, but he's certainly a suitable enough, slender, maybe anime-headed Spider-Man that looks pretty good, and it's well enough executed for the most part. So it's certainly a contender for a good-looking Spider-Man. And then we have this one. Again, it's going to come down to personal preference in some of these categories. He has the red, dark red web lines, which are sculpted, and they all have sculpted web lines, so that's fine. But his are dark red instead of black to suit the source material. He's a much brighter color scheme, so you may not like those web lines. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. They're executed well enough that if you're okay with it, I think you won't have a problem. But if you want black web lines, this is not the one for you. And of course, the different shades of blue could alter. Like if you're going to get a dark version of this guy, then he's going to be your pick, but that's not how we're doing this as much as we can. As far as the rest of the build on this guy, I think he is by far the most heroic looking. You could argue too muscular because he is from MVC rather than the comics. For me, personally, not just because I love Marvel vs. Capcom, but just because I like my comic characters at least pushed in the heroic direction rather than the slender direction, I personally prefer this. I think in a lot of objective ways, though, he is better. You don't have the goofy ankles. You have the pinched-in ankles, the pinched-in knees, the muscular calves and quads, things like that. You do have the questionable-looking crotch, of course. This guy's crotch is way less cut up and strange, but this guy's silhouette is much nicer. So you could definitely argue either one of these guys, and I think objectively, though, his head is probably the best Spider-Man head that we have out of any of the Spider-Mans at all, probably ever. But I'm going to say for the aesthetic, I would make it a tie between these two. Revoltech obviously can't compete on aesthetics. It's just not going to happen. But these guys, depending on what you prefer, you could make that case and you would be fair in making it. I would say objectively, neither one has a clear-cut win. I would pick this guy if it wasn't for his crotch, and I would pick this guy if he looked a little bit more like a superhero rather than a skinny kid doing cosplay with an anime head. So you can see there are downsides and upsides to both. Now, as far as accessories go, this is the only one that doesn't come with a flight stand or a display stand, whatever you want to call them. And he has fewer accessories in general. So just like the Revoltech was out for the aesthetic, this guy is out for the accessories. Now, between the Mafex and the Revoltech, I would say it's pretty much a tie. They both have some form of alternate head. This guy has an alternate head. This guy has alternate eyes. That's fine. They both have the flight stand. They both have a bunch of web lines. I think you're pretty much tied there. If you like magnets, I guess that could be helpful to you, but generally speaking, I think for most people, these guys are just going to be a tie. They both have a ton of accessories, good webs, good alternate hands, alternate face parts of some variety, and the stand, which is really a deal breaker for the other guy. So these guys are a tie. It's either one. I wouldn't even count it as a factor. If you're going to pick between these two, you're going to be perfectly happy. Now, I will say, if you are a fan of cardboard, this guy does have the cardstock background, which is garbage. So if you like that, though, this guy wins in accessories. Okay, and now when it comes to articulation, I'm not going to work through the articulation on each of these figures. That would make this video way too long. But for those of you who aren't familiar, who haven't seen the individual reviews, I have done those, and you can check those out. But I'll just describe it for you guys as as we talk about this just a little bit more briefly. This guy and this guy have two significant problems, and we'll talk about those in a minute. This guy, on the other hand, and I guess I can show you a little bit as we go, but not too much, he still looks like crap in comparison to the other two, but he has range of motion like you wouldn't believe that the other two can't even come close to. Now, you can argue, as many Revoltech detractors do argue, they still look kind of ugly when you pose them. You still end up with a lot of cuts, a lot of joints, some alien proportions, things like that. So you can make the argument that his articulation, even though it has great range, is not good because it's ugly. That's your prerogative. Again, that's your personal preference. But in terms of sheer posability, nothing beats Revoltech. I mean, in this video, at least. There are some figures, like the Sexy Ice figures, compete, maybe even beat Revoltech. But these guys have loads of range. You can pose this guy pretty much however you want. Nobody gets a tight knee bend like that. Nobody has this joint. Nobody has all the crazy range in the shoulders. Again, problems for sure, but definitely tons of range. So if you are okay with the drawbacks to this kind of range, then this guy wins. Handily. Easily, he wins in the articulation category. So, if you're okay with that, obviously Revoltech wins in articulation, but the more useful comparison is to talk about these two in the articulation department. I think they both have some benefits, or maybe we should even focus on just the downsides, because they both work generally pretty well in all the areas where they don't have a huge problem. I think this guy edges this one out in the normal areas by a little bit, but his problems are pretty severe, but then again, so are his. We'll start with this one. A lot of more modern Mafex figures have a softer diaper piece, so that they can use their legs better. This guy does not. That is hard as far as soft plastic goes. So you end up with the drop down hips, which are just a nightmare, and you don't end up with a lot of range because you can't flex that piece anywhere near enough to get good range. And because the thigh swivel is cooked into the hips, this guy's hips are terrible. I've been complaining about Mafex hips for a really long time, and some people just seem to ignore it when talking about how good Mafex Spider-Man figures are. I think the hips are terrible on this guy, and it really, really, really hurts posability. Everything else works generally well. The butterfly joint is actually a pretty nice joint, and he gets decent range out of it. I think it's perfectly fine. Really, his drawback is this. The torso, it's maybe not the best, but it works well enough. But the hip area, not good on Mafex Spider-Man, unless you get one of the newer ones. With some of the repaints, I guess, maybe have softer crotches, or maybe just some of the reissues. I haven't bought every single reissue to know, but this one, at least if you're looking for this one, it's too hard. That's what she said. All right, and now we have the Figure Arts one, which, if you guys have been following along at all on all of the internet in terms of collecting, he's got his own fair share of problems. His general articulation is pretty good. Even the hips, if it wasn't for this area, work pretty well. You know, he has good range. It's not the best looking thing if you don't like the thong, but he has good range, and because the thigh swivel happens down here, you do get the thigh swivel, so his legs work pretty well. The problem is this diaper piece, mixed with his lower abdominal articulation, just an absolute nightmare. He has no waist twist. He has no waist twist. He only has a little bit of a lean right there. Can't even go back. Can't go side to side. This area, it's an abomination. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. But you can make up for it with the hips. You can make up for it with the hips a little bit, and this part still works. So he can't really bend over, but he also can. So, you know, there's some ways to make up for it. There's not a whole lot you can do with this guy to make up for his problems, because his problems are more right here. You're not going to be able to pose the leg the way you want to because of the way the joint is. It's not terrible. It's not the absolute worst thing in the world, but it's not good the way this part works. So it's going to come down to that. Do you want to try to fight with hips that don't work, or do you want to fight with a lower torso that doesn't work? For me personally, I would say this one outposes this one. I don't like the drop downs. I don't like the thigh swivel being at the top, since you have no ability to use it. This one, as much as I absolutely hate the way they designed this, I was able to pose this guy a lot more easily than the Mafex. You can get past that by posing the hips and upper torso. So I think between these two, the Figure Arts one actually wins. But of course, this guy wins. That's a terrible pose. This guy wins handily over the other two when it comes to articulation. So let's do kind of a roundup here and see if we can settle on which one is the go-to Spider-Man. And I think what I thought in the beginning is going to be the case, that it's not going to be so cut and dry. But let's see if we can figure it out anyway. These comparison videos are always kind of fun for me, because you don't think about the differences so much until you actually get the nitty-gritty going. So let's see here. Which one looks the best? For me personally, it's this. I could see the argument here, but I think objectively the big head, slender body is just kind of going to be a non-starter for most people, and this guy's the most comic-y, so I would say SH Figure Arts looks the best. For accessories, these two are tied, so I can't go anywhere there. And then for articulation, this guy wins easily, but then this guy beats this guy. So I think we have to say Mafex is not one of the best. I mean, he's one of the best, but he's not one of the top two. I think we would have to go with these two. And then it comes down to, what do you want? You don't have a choice right now. You have to have spider armor. So if you want the posability, this guy is it, for sure. But he has to have spider armor, and you have to like Revoltech articulation. You might. A lot of people do. That's fine. He's easily the best posable Spider-Man, but he looks like a Revoltech. And then this guy, I don't like saying it, but I think he still might be the best all-arounder, despite the lack of accessories and despite his screwed up torso articulation. I think this video has just proved, I thought I was going to pick Mafex. I thought this was going to be the winner, given the accessories and his general look and everything. I think this one might be the best one if I had to pick. I'm curious what you guys think. Accessories are the worst by far, but I think there's a good argument to be made for looks, and he poses better than the Mafex. So, it's going to be hard for Revoltech to compete, because it looks so damn goofy like a Revoltech figure. I think this has to be the winner. I'm going to leave it at that. I think SH Figuarts has the best Spider-Man, despite the crazy flaws, which are crazy. I'm not ignoring that. Don't get that twisted. It's not that I think that those aren't a problem. I think they're a huge problem, or huge problems, but I do think it wins overall. I'm slightly biased towards this look over this, but this guy, it's objectively an alien head. So that's, if he didn't have that, I'd probably still go with this. I think this one wins. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think the SH Figuarts one wins overall. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below and we'll talk, but that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.